it's Leanne and I am here today to resurrect a series which you guys absolutely loved. Anybody who's been kicking around my channel for a couple of years might well remember the series of videos that I did which were entitled Most Anticipated from My Shelves. This was a series where I shopped my own shelves for books that I was excited for because I was on a book buying ban and I was really jealous of everybody else highly anticipating all of their new shinies that were going to come through the post. This year I am on a no buy 18, but I am allowed pre-orders. It's the only thing that I'm allowed this year. These little book parcels which will turn up on my doorstep and make me happy in place of the 15, 16, 17, 18 book piles that I would go and buy from a store and then would inevitably get to 5 off this year and have the rest of them sitting on my shelves. So I've been really real with myself and I have unhauled tons. Like, I can't tell you how many books I have unhauled in the last 3 or 4 months. And I have pared my books down to shelves filled with books that I am really super excited about. So today we are going to talk about my literary fiction shelves because literary fiction has had short shrift on my channel for the past little while and I want to give it some love. My first pick for most anticipated is Harmony by Carolyn Pankhurst. This one came out in 2016 and I received this beautiful finished copy for review and never ever got around to it, which is absolutely scandalous because everything in it ticks a Leanne box. This one is set in New Hampshire and it follows a family called the Hammonds. One of their daughters is on the autistic spectrum and they are literally at their wits' end with her behaviour. And so they turn to a lifestyle guru who runs Camp Harmony, which is deep in the woods, away from the rest of civilization, and they entrust their daughter, who they love very much but cannot handle anymore, to this guy in this camp in the middle of nowhere. And it turns out that some of his ways of dealing with people and his ideas for how people should be reformed are not necessarily the types of ideas that they would ever have considered. The next one is one that I feel so bad about. I feel terrible that I still haven't read this. This is We Are Called to Rise by Laura McBride. This came out in 2014 and I rushed out to buy the stunning hardback edition of it and then didn't read it for whatever reason. This one is set in Las Vegas and it has a pretty wide cast. We have a soldier not that long back from war. We have an immigrant family who are really struggling to make ends meet in Las Vegas, which is not exactly the cheapest city to live in, even if you are in the suburbs. And then we have a woman whose marriage is literally crumbling in the first pages of the novel, and it is about how all of those people are called to rise up and be more than they are at the same moment. One of the lines that I really love in the synopsis for this one is, faced with seemingly insurmountable loss, each person must decide whether to give in to despair or to find the courage and resilience to rise. And just, and also, so ice cream van, and look at them end pages, just look at the little ice creams, how cute! The next one is a book that I actually picked up last year on a recommendation from the lovely Joss from Squibbles Reads, and this one is The Listener. This one is about Malcolm, who is a therapist at a behavioural centre. He takes a new case, he accepts a new client, I'm not sure exactly what verbiage they use for it, and he is sitting there looking at this young woman and thinking, I can't place you, but I recognise you. And then his new client stands up and takes off her wig and reveals herself to be Noah, who is a client who Malcolm had previously looked after and had not the greatest therapeutic relationship with. This one says, during the course of one semester, Noah and Malcolm's lives become entwined in ways neither could have imagined. I love books about therapists and the therapeutic process, and especially I enjoy seeing both sides of the process, so this one is very interesting to me, and it's reasonably short. There's no reason why this is still sitting on my shelf when I'm so excited for it. The next one is a book that all of you guys will probably have already read and are probably going to kick me for and throw things at the screen when I show you, but I don't care because I'm so desperate to read it that I want to tell you about it, and it is White Oleander by Janet Fitch. This is of course about Ingrid, who is a wild poet, I think the blurb puts it, who is imprisoned for murder, and about her daughter Astrid, who is being shunted around the Los Angeles foster system. This one is one of those books that I honestly feel like I don't even need to blurb it because so many people have read it and loved it, and if I look down at my Goodreads list at all of my friends, there's tons and tons and tons of 5-star ratings for this one, and I went above and beyond when I bought this book also in 2014 and sought out this beautiful cover because I love it more than any of the others that are out there at the moment. It's a really big book, and I think that's the thing that's put me off, because sometimes I get this weird thing into my head of where I'm like, I am so desperate to read this book because I think it will be such a me book that I want to read it in the absolute perfect circumstances when I have no other books on the go and I'm not going to be interrupted. And it's why I put off We Need to Talk About Kevin for so long, and when I finished that I just kicked myself because it's one of my most favourite books of all time. And so again, I'm probably going to kick myself when I finally pick this one up, but I just have to accept that sometimes for some books there's never going to be a perfect circumstance, and I just need to read the bloody thing. Just need to read it. The next one is a bit of an odd one out because it is a short story collection, although it is still literary fiction, and this is The Beautiful Fen by Daisy Johnson. This one is described as mixing really contemporary topics with English folklore and setting some taboos against each other, like sex and animals and a few other things that when I glanced over it I was like, that's screwed up, that's a me book, I'll have that. I've kept myself as ignorant as possible about this book, but some of the hints are obviously in the production of it. This paint slick, which might be hair, these really disturbing end papers, and this completely black cover under the white with the black embossed shiny lettering on the end. So Also, Fen is blurbed by Evie Wyld, which is an interesting segue because what is the next book that you have there, Leanne? This very dusty book here is the only Evie Wyld book that I haven't read, and I hate myself for it. And this is After the Fire, A Still Small Voice. This was Evie Wyld's debut novel. You guys all know that another one of my favourite books of all time is All the Birds Singing by Evie Wyld, and that I also loved the graphic novel which she came out with, I want to say in 2015, I'm not sure. Either way, after I read All the Birds Singing, I picked this one up immediately and it has languished on my shelf since, because as with White Oleander, this one is one of those books where I'm like, Evie Wyld doesn't publish a book every year, and she doesn't even publish a book every other year, and she's definitely one of my favourite authors. And A, this is her first novel, so it might not have the same tone as her second novel, and B, when I read it I'll have no more Evie Wyld left to read, and that's incredibly sad. But then I guess I just reread, I don't know. You know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. I don't need to explain this irrational fear to you guys of running out of books from your favourite author. This one is about two men who are both looking to try and make new lives. So first we have Frank, who has run away to his family's beach shack. He intends to live there and not speak to anybody, but when he gets there he discovers a community in turmoil and much in need of somebody to put it back together, and he ends up really involved in the lives of the people there. But when a girl goes missing, suspicion immediately falls on Frank because Frank is the newcomer. And it also follows Leon, who is a Korean war vet with PTSD who is just not coping with life. When war breaks out again, Leon has to leave the thing that he has come to find the most comforting, which is sculpting sugar figures for cakes, and go back and be a soldier in the Vietnam War. Do you know what? Do you know what? I'm gonna let you guys decide. In February, I am going to read one of these books. So it's either going to be After the Fire a Still Small Voice by Evie Wyld, Fen by Daisy Johnson, White Oleander by Janet Fitch, The Listener by Rachel Bach, We Are All Called to Rise by Laura McBride, or Harmony by Carolyn Pankhurst. You decide. You guys decide. In the comments below, tell me the title of the book which you want me to read, and I will total up all of the comments and I will tell you who the winner is in my February TBR. How about that? That's what we'll do. And then I can blame you and it won't be my fault. So that is everything that is on my immediate list from my literary fiction shelves. Of course, now that I have narrowed down my book choices, I am most anticipating everything on those shelves. But these are the books that when I look at them I go, read it right now, or don't, as previously discussed. I will be bringing another one of these videos to you next week, so please also tell me in the comments whether you would like it to be a crime corner with mystery and thrillers, or whether you would like it to be a fantasy one. It's all up to you guys. So until next time, I will speak to you guys later. Please take care and enjoy all of your books. Bye!